Learned from the lesson. Live in the hill, but still can spread. Live, still reinvention. Feel how I feel, then you feel it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but the sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday. I figured I'd hit you with the reaction video, and Meek Kevin is talking his, and I want to talk about this, and I a couple reasons. One, OG YouTube strategy. Kevin knows what I'm talking about. I want the views. I want to get some of the views, but two, I really want to talk about what you guys are doing to YouTubers. Yeah, you watching this video, you trading stocks. Some of you don't even trade and you on here. And I really think this is a very important thing. But essentially, man, people, the whole point of his video, people were calling him like flip-flop Kevin. People were talking smack. Honestly, go watch the video. I like it. It was funny. I thought it had some good points to it. But the thing that surprised me, I didn't know people were talking that much smack about him. I thought even his boys and like some of the clips he was showing, like right here, I thought these dudes were his friends and I thought they know him. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like YouTube drama beef for like the views and all of that. I don't know. But at the end of the day, man, I think what it comes down to, because I remember the first day Meek Kevin sold out, a lot of people would come in the chat. They're like, Josh, Meek Kevin sold out. What do you think about this? And then people, as the market would go up and down, people are like, Meek Kevin, no, Meek Kevin, oh, maybe he's right. And it was all of this, but I don't know if you guys remember, I said this, and that's why it's like, I'm glad I could weigh on it. Kevin, I don't know if you're going to watch this video or how you feel about me or anything, but I got a little bothered that day because I just said it. People were calling him flip-flop and this and that, but I said, man, all of you guys are flip-flop. One day, everybody in the market wants you to talk about this, then retail, and then everybody wants you to talk about GameStop and then AMC, and I was just like, man, this is everybody doing this. So, I'm one for the culture. I'm one for the community, man, and that's why I'm just saying with all of it, everybody is going to have their own investment decision, but like I don't think a lot of people realize, like, when you're investing and you have an audience, I mean, my audience isn't as big as Kevin's. I'm sure it's a whole different ball game, but even with what I see from my personal experience, man, people really come at you and it's a different ball game. Like, honestly, like if you're trading and you don't have 50 eyes, 100 eyes, 1,000, 1,000,000 eyeballs looking at you, criticizing your move, I mean, you're blessed. Like, you're lucky and you may not realize it. And that's what I'm saying about all of this. So I want to go over it, but either way, man, Kevin, regardless of what he did, the strategy, I mean, again, he bought in, and that's something I didn't know. So again, and this is where I think like a little bit of lost in translation, because people are talking, they're like, oh, well, maybe Meek Kevin was right when the stock market bounces up, but I don't know if people know that he bought back in. So he did buy back in. That's the point of it. But the whole video, what it comes down to, he called him, he said, you effing beanie baby, beep, beep, beep. There you go, Kevin. But I want to talk about it. I'll give you the real quick rundown. I mean, pretty much this is how the video starts. It's him showing the clip of him selling out. He's going over it, explaining what's happening. And then it's, again, the production value. I laughed. It was great. And then he goes through and you get to see this people criticize him. And then some of them were his boys. Some were other random YouTubers. And then a couple weeks later, you see the same YouTubers saying, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't invest. And then he posts that he bought back in. He went back in with $20 million. He's saying he made $2 million. He bought back in. And again, if you look at the market, I think he's like I think it's like 5% lower than where he was selling out from. So nice move overall, but you get to see how it culminates. And then he talks, he says everything hit max fear. So seems like a good plan. It seems like he documented without it, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. If anything, what I want to talk about is just the strategy of selling out. And again, with even some of these videos, I think I could focus on it because a lot of people were asking me, what's going to happen throughout all of this. And, my logic throughout all of this, stay with the long term. I stacked up cash for a little bit. I bought a little in January, saved up the money with February. We even waited a little in March, and then I bought JP Morgan. And even then, that thing went up 7% since we've got it. So that's nice, the dividends, all of that. But my plan never really changed. And this is one thing I've always said, time in the market versus timing the market. But the whole point here with this video, if you're really going to sell and buy back and sell and buy back, I mean, you could play that game if you want, but it really just comes down to having a plan. If I could credit Kevin with anything, it seems like he had a plan and he followed through with it. So that's the thing I like. But what I'm trying to really say here is when it comes down to the plan, or really if something was going to ever make me sell, my plan is always buy, always add. I'm going to be owning real estate. I'm going to be owning stocks. I'm going to always make sure I have some crypto. But at the end of the day, I talked about it today. There is one thing that would make me sell, and that has to do with the yield curve and pretty much the government, the Fed, and the bond market snitching, saying, yeah, things are not looking good. So if I was ever going to sell, it's very, very simple. I'm going to wait till the yield curve flattens, and once they cut the rates, that is my selling indicator. So I said that on one of these videos before. I really hope you guys are able to understand it. But the one big factor I don't want people to miss out on is the fact that you need to have a long-term, especially if you are a younger investor. If you're a little bit older, we giving up hope on you. I'm just kidding. Nah, it doesn't really matter about your age, but especially for the young people, the thing I got worried about, I remember when people talking about selling and all of that, the last thing I want to see people do is work to build these long-terms, or maybe they just got in the stock market, or you never had a long-term. You see the market go up and down. You're hearing all of this back and forth. You're like, I can't time the bottom. I can't time the top, do all of this. But I just don't want people to walk away not having a long term. The last thing you want to happen 10 years from now, and I'm telling you this from personal experience, you don't want to look back and be able to see where the market is, see these companies. Again, you are in a huge wealth transformation right now, or a transfer of wealth. And then at the same time, there's a lot of key technologies and key things that are really planted and starting to bloom right now. And I can only imagine what will happen in the next 10 years. But you don't want to get caught without it. You don't want to look back and say, wow, I knew about those companies. I was in the stock market, but then I just never really committed, or I was trying to play the back and forth. So that's the point. You could go and play the timing and all of that. But if you also just make a commitment to save up money and treat the stocks like a savings account, again, we waited a couple months before adding here and there when it got volatile. But for the most part, it's just like tortoise in the hare, and just little by little by little by little. But the one thing with all of these, man, again, like, honestly, shout out to Kevin and all the content he provides. And you guys are seeing, and we have a lot of info on YouTube, but not everything's going to be good. And it's on you to determine what strategy you want to follow. But what I'm just trying to say is that own stocks. Don't get so caught up in the news and headlines, and understand, man, we do shit for views. That's it. Again, I told you at the beginning of the video, you see what it is. You see the pressure. You see people talking about this, but that's why it's like, hold stuff and don't let headlines, sway you left and right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But I just want to make sure, the biggest travesty would be if we end up with a generation that was so exposed to stocks and information, and you have everybody talking about it. It's cool now. And then 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we have a generation of people not owning stuff, and we have people not owning stocks, and people always trying to time the top and bottom and all of that. So at the end of the day, get the long term. You could make money either way. You could go up, you could go down, you could time it or not, but just make sure you're holding a little bit of something. And honestly, I think this whole situation just shows there's a lot we don't know. We don't know who's friends with who. We don't know what the lost in translation, when someone's doing this or that. And it's just like, there is a proven strategy. And that's why at the end of the day, you don't want to get caught without it. So make sure you guys are holding stuff. Shout out to the long term. Shout out to everybody. And before I end it, I'm going to give you a little bit here on the market. You have to watch all of that, but I know some of you guys watch to the end, so God bless you, and I love you. But today, we talked about it. The real big thing you got to focus on, commodities equal inflation. That is it. War equals commodities. Commodities equals inflation. Inflation will dictate the Fed. You have a big option expiration tomorrow. I kept saying this today. This is very, very crucial. Why? Because after we get this expiration of all these options, then we're really either going to move up above 440 if it's bullish, or if we get more volatility, or the commodities go crazy, or war affects commodities, commodities affects inflation, then we'll be able to hit another lower price. So that is the main thing here. The Fed expectations. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, I beg you to go watch it so you could understand it, because that thing didn't move today, and it kind of makes sense with what we have. But now the divergence between bonds and the S&P, it is huge. And right now, we're just waiting for developments. Either the pricing of the Fed is going to move, but chances are it's probably going to be a war headline that affects commodities. Commodities affect inflation, and then you'll start watching the Fed move, and then everybody's going to react. And don't forget, earnings is coming up. So whatever happens with these earnings and guidance, we will see what happens. But hopefully you guys like this one. Again, this is a little bit different of a video. Let me know. But God bless all of you, and hopefully we see you on stream, and have a wonderful weekend. And I got a video for you tomorrow. Peace out.